Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Carm Capriotto. We produce some of the best audio content available for aftermarket professionals, found anywhere in the automotive aftermarket. Welcome to Town Hall Academy 279. We're going to talk about technician mentoring. Well, I have a great panel here. Glad to have you all with us. It's Tara Topol, Topol's Service Center, Lake Mills, Wisconsin, and the winner of the 2021 Female Shop Owner of the Year from the Woman in Auto Care. Yay!
Thank you.
Now Tracy needs the rain down.
Yeah.
That's for Carm's birthday.
Oh,
cat's out of the bag.
And who knows when that was. Eric Ziegler's with us from Easy Diagnostics. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing well. Glad to see everyone. Thanks for
the
invite.
I love it. Easy Tech Mentors. I love that too. And Scott Shotton's with us to Drivability Guys, former teacher, diagnostician. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for being here. We're going to be talking about technician mentoring. And guys, I know that there are some coaching companies out there that have a technician mentoring program going on themselves. I think there was a point in time when they just looked at the fact that, listen, we're doing owners, then they brought in service advisors, then they brought in the COOs, and now they're doing shop foremen. And it was, to me, in my mind, just a natural progression to bring in technicians. But I want to stop for 1 minute and give some high fives to our great sponsor, Shopware. Are you sick of seeing your techs roam around the shop instead of working on cars? Well, I thought so. Shopware's streamlined digital communication makes it real easy for your team to work together and get approvals a whole lot faster. Find my friends on the web at getshopware.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Hey, it's great. Please, every episode that we do is on YouTube, and some people prefer to just throw the YouTube thing on while they're doing paperwork and stuff. Hey, look at Tara. Let's jump into the fact that you were telling me that the whole technician mentoring thing came from almost up to here with webinars and the whole COVID thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that during that time, it was great to have the webinars and online training. I just don't think technicians are usually meant to sit behind a desk and just sit there and not be hands-on. So for us and for our shop, having Scott be able to come in and give them hands-on and in person was kind of the best of both worlds. And to be able to get everybody all at once was even better. So
I think, I'm telling you, I think this is the new frontier, Scott. I know how much you probably agree with that, but I hope this doesn't take a long time to have the industry get on board.
Well, it's been taking a long time, but it's kind of weird to me how you have a management coach, you have whatever the case. I think Eric would agree that what I've done for Tara, for example, okay, couple of shops, but what I've done for Tara, for example, is, show up at the shop and, do what they need to be done. Pick a area where they need to focus on. So you could look at the shop management part of it and go like the key performance indicators and all those kind of things. And that's what your management coach does. And when I show up, I do the same exact thing. Eric too, right? Same exact thing is, hey, what do you guys need to work on? Tara recently, for her shop, got an oscilloscope. You had one before. I think that was a demo, if I'm not mistaken. The Autel, and then got the Pico. And last time I was there, we spent time with your techs going, okay, where are you at? What can I show you? And I mean, we have more to go through. We can't go too advanced too fast. So it's like, but that's part of, like, a business coach does the same thing as what a technical coach does, right? Same thing. You start from the ground floor and you work your way up.
Let's talk about how it fits in, Tara. Are
Mhm.
you doing this during the day, on Saturdays? How's it fitting in?
No, it's during the day. It's during a work day. So we try to, give our people their nights and weekends. So we take shop day. Scott actually comes in the morning, or actually usually the afternoon before, talks with the technicians, gets to know them,
Yeah.
gets an idea of what we have,
The
real
afternoon
life.
before is just a visit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. I'm
And then
sorry,
he
go ahead.
takes, no, that's fine. And then he just takes the next day and is able to go through with everybody and focus, and then they can ask questions real time. One of our technicians, when I asked them for some feedback for today, he said that was one of the things he values most, is that if you're online, you might hold back from asking questions, but you're right there with him. So you just ask what you need to ask and you get more depth and knowledge right there.
Is it
We
like a
appreciate
case, Scott? Is it like a case study?
Yes.
Like multiples.
In some cases, Tara, for example, at her shop, they will have customer cars that are actually broken and they're working on them that day. And you use the car to teach, but diagnose the customer's car at the same time. So yeah, it's
So perfect. It's planned out. Everyone knows Scott's coming. He does that pre-afternoon. Then you jump in deep into the pool the next day. And
planned out. I'm sorry, Carm, to interrupt you, but the first time I went there, Tara threw me under the bus.
really,
It was the Ford that probably either got struck by lightning. She's laughing. I can see her nodding her head. Struck by lightning or jump started backwards. Either way, but we had multiple modules that were bad, and I felt bad because I spent less time training. But we had who's your? I'm sorry, Tara. Who's your guy that left?
Andy.
Andy. Okay.
Mhm.
So I spent a lot of time with Andy looking at this particular vehicle. And, we like, oh, this module's bad. This module's bad. This module's bad. That was a headache. And that was kind of hard for a first visit. But thank you very much for calling me back and have me come another time. So yeah, it's to kind of answer your question. You could ask the question again, but it's very fluid.
got it.
Whatever happens, right? You got
And
customer cars, or you don't. You got a PowerPoint presentation, or you don't. Or what do you need? The last time, okay, I've been to Tara's, I think 3 times. Last time was Picoscope, right? Because you guys just purchased that piece of equipment and we spent some time working with it. And hopefully you'll have me back to do some more, because we only scratched the surface, and hopefully your techs are using it
They are.
when necessary.
Mhm.
so you go to Vision, and you go to, say, an all dayer. Scott, I think you and Matt taught one at Vision this year, didn't you?
Correct.
And you miss Vision. Because again, there's a ton of people, thousands that go to Vision, but we have 900,000 techs in our industry, 275,000 shops. You can't all go. So I think this, if you will, just-in-time concept of technician mentoring in the field, hands-on, face-to-face, is a beautiful way between the big events to really, I think it's intimate training like no other. I mean, so many of us are kinetic learners. We have to see, feel, and touch something, and there's nothing like live.
I agree with you, and the rest of the people in the panel can probably agree with me as well, and I'll let them chime in. You go to a class at Vision, and you've got 80, 120 people in the room. People don't ask questions. When you're on the ground, when you're in Tara's shop, for example, with 2, 3, 4 technicians, and you have time to actually play and talk, and they get more out of it, because number one, they're doing it hands-on. Number two is they're hopefully not as afraid to ask questions. Like, okay, Carm, if I put you in a room with 200 people, okay, are you going to raise your hand and ask a question? Maybe. Maybe is the key, right? If there's 4 people, you don't give a, well, I'll kind of censor myself. You're going to give a crap. You're not going to give a crap, right? You're going to ask the question. And
Yeah.
that's what, the mentor does. It's the same thing like the
Well,
shop management coach.
sure, but listen, you're looking in their eyes, you're reading their body language. You know that part of your job in this, if you will, technician mentoring, intimate coaching thing. I love what you said on the ground. I love that. I mean, that to me, that really describes you're being able to push and pull information from the person you're working with because you can see the uptake, the intake.
Correct. I mean, and you have to, you can either, as a trainer, and Eric can agree with this, you can walk into a room with a PowerPoint and teach a class, and someone's going to get information out of it. But you can walk into a shop, such as Tara's, and get to know those technicians, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah. Eric, talk to me, man. I know you're passionate about this. Your perspective.
I think, as Scott said, there's a difference in in-person training, and as Tara said, there's a big difference from online web-based training. I personally am not a very good web-based trainer. It seems strange to me, even doing these podcasts, that like you're looking at yourself, you're seeing you get your mannerisms. I knew what my vocal tics were, but I didn't realize till I did webinars that I look up one way if I'm trying to come up with something, or I look up the other way if I'm trying to do something. And I never realized that until I did PAVE and a lot of the other events. So I don't think I'm not very easy on the eye either. So I'm not very good at the webinar thing. I prefer to interact with people. And like Scott said, when you present a class, technicians may be reluctant to participate. I am very much a moderated town hall in my style of training. I actually start my classes with the first goal of public speaking is to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm sure I fall way short of that bar in here. To me, automotive training is not about me to orate and you to absorb. It is about everyone's collective education on a certain subject matter. So I think that when it's more intimate, and I mean that in a close surrounding with technicians in the shop, they have a comfort level that Scott referred to, that they engage more. And if oftentimes you're actually working on cars that are at the facility that are broke cars, so it's not something you staged, it's an actual real world event. And not to name drop, but in the podcast we did at Vegas at one time, Bob Greenwood and myself, the late great Bob Greenwood, he was talking about establishing a culture. I think it's hard to do when you're doing live training at an event, at Vision, at ATRA, at Auto Value, or anywhere else. It's hard to create that culture. You can network with people after hours, but when you're in the shop and you're talking to the technicians, I think you kind of form a bond. And why on the several of the pilot groups that we had one in Arizona at Dave's Car Care. Dave has since sold, but we went out there for a long time, and several of the technicians that work there, I actually formed relations with, and they will text me, we'll communicate on Skype, and you get to see that growth and that creating of the culture. I think it's just a different way of learning, and I think it lends itself a lot better to have technicians in their true environment rather than in a room. Say you're at Vision and you're with, the top of the top technicians everywhere, and you maybe don't see yourself, or you view yourself in a different light, that like, hey, I'm not going to raise my hand and open my mouth. And what's the Abraham Lincoln thing? Better to be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and prove everybody right. I think that people sometimes are reluctant of that, and when they're one-on-one with you, they might be like, hey, are you hooked up here, or are you hooked up here? And the other thing, I think, not patting ourselves on the back, but Scott and myself both are instructors that do mobile diagnostics or have been in the mobile diagnostics business for years and have been working technicians. I think some corporate trainers are people that come from industry, but it's been a minute or two since they were actually working in the field. Maybe it's different when you're at a research facility or when you're actually doing. A lot of our training is anecdotal from real broken cars, but
Right.
it's a
No.
partnership that you create with shops like Tara and Scott have. Dave's Car Care in Arizona was one. I've done some training for my friend at the Texas Taj Mahal there, Kurt Holland at Gladney Automotive, or Gladney Automotive Services. And that's one of the things that you set up a relationship with people.
So Tara, the relationship that we have,
Mhm.
right? Has it been beneficial to you?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I was going to say, is that it becomes about the relationship. That's really what Eric was talking about. And you're talking about culture. Bob was our coach, and it's funny because I wanted to make sure to talk about him because I know that he would be very proud that we're talking about this. Bob was huge on starting off. We need to have technicians need to have at least 100 hours of training a year. And to me, that just seemed overwhelming at first. When he talked about that, I thought, well, maybe I can start them off with like 1 hour a week. That's 52, if we can kind of average that. When you have somebody like Scott or Eric come in, you're getting a full 8 hours, and that really, and not to mention the way that it's done. The other thing that popped in my head that Eric was talking about was like getting everybody to training. So as a shop owner, it becomes this logistical nightmare to me to figure out, am I going to pay them mileage? Am I going to put them in a loaner car? They're going to take time away from their family. Am I paying them for the time on the road? Am I paying them to be away from their family for their training? And those are all different things that have to come into perspective. So the value that comes in, and I talk about value because it's also an investment of having Scott come to the shop. It's like a win-win-win-win. And that was the other thing Bob always said, is in business, everything needs to be a win-win. And this scenario of having somebody come to your shop is absolutely a win-win, and has been for us.
I appreciate that. And you know what, another thing too is the topics of training change a lot. So like when you guys get your ADAS equipment and get that set up in your new shop, which is a beautiful building, by the way, I got to tour it last time I was there. If you need ADAS training, I won't be the guy to do it, but I got someone that can, and he's in this room right now.
Carm, I never knew you did ADAS.
I don't. That's why I
Sure.
call you. If we got NVH, noise vibration harshness, with the Picoscope, if you guys had that kit, which I don't think you have that kit yet, but yeah, I got a guy that's an expert at it. So it doesn't mean I have to come out and teach. We're making connections right now on this podcast. We're making connections. So I mean, we can get you guys set up with, the training or the people that I shouldn't say people. I can't hire people for you. But
you could help though. I will say that when it comes time to hire a technician, you'll be part of that.
Yeah, well, okay. Eric's got a story about Dave's shop,
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Are you going to ask me to interview the technician?
Sure, why not?
You know where
Maybe
I'm going,
not after
right?
you're laughing so hard. I don't
No,
know.
because
I have been there before.
Eric's got a story. That's the only reason I'm laughing. So, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. But Eric's got a story about that. So
Hold that story, Eric.
Shut him down.
Hold that story. We'll do it right after I give another high five to our sponsor, Shopware. Every minute of a tech's day impacts your profitability. So you want to track that time and make the most of it. Shopware's shop management software will give you transparency into each team member's performance. Learn more on the web at getshopware.com. So many things going through my head, guys. First of all, thank you so much at Vision. It was Eric, Scott, and Gary Smith who came into the studio at Vision 2022, and we had no agenda. And it was a hoot, guys. It was so good. Episode 741, if you want to go back into your into your stream and listen to that. It's so well worth it. A lot of great wisdom. And then, interviewing Tara, there's no doubt that I think you're on the cutting edge of making sure that the training for your people in all the newest technology, you're at the cutting edge of it. Do you ask them, listen, we've got Scott, sitting over here anytime we need him, we're gonna make it work. What are you asking your technicians? What's next?
You mean what's next for what Scott's going to talk about?
For training, for
just training?
technology. He says, hey guys, do we need to bring Scott in for anything you may be struggling with?
Sure. Yes. And they still do, online training, and they still do other things besides in between Scott being at the shop. It's one thing for me to say, like, what do you need? And yes, they have an idea. First of all, not to be rude, but some, not all technicians have egos. And I think it's very hard for them. I know. Well, actually, we have a couple that are really great, right? And they're like not as much as the typical. But yes, I will just say that they might not always ask as much as Scott has a really great way to come in and just talk to people and not make them feel like, so what's your weakness? Like, what do you need to work on? But he talks to them, and with the talking and the relationship, he either pulls it out or somehow it happens, but he kind of figures that out. And then he's already establishing for the next time what's going to get focused on and what they're going to go over.
That's the point of the quote unquote mentoring, is you can go to a class and you can watch class, or you can go to a shop and establish a relationship and assess the technicians and figure out what they need. There's a whole discussion in the industry about, if we label an electrical class advanced or basic, if you label it basic, no one's going to take it. Right. But if you walk into a shop like Tara's, for example, right, you don't even have to use that wording. You just go in and teach something to these guys and make the assessment, guys or girls, I'm sorry, make the assessment and go, all right, we got to back up a little bit and do some more basic stuff or do some more advanced stuff. What equipment do you have? Eric might go on the road doing a mobile job and have a picoscope, but I might go to a shop that has a Snap-on scope, perfectly capable scope, but we have to adjust because I don't want to say, your Snap-on scope is a piece of crap. No, it's not. It's not a piece of crap. But how do we use it? So there's to be honest with you, when I go to Tara's shop, as an example, the evenings when I'm sitting in she is so nice. She puts me up in bed and breakfasts. She doesn't put me up in hotels. But when I'm sitting in the room, I'm going over what I'm doing the next day. I'm like, all right, cool. We got this tool. We got this stuff we have to do, piece it together and make it work and customize it. And the customization, I think, that's actually a good word I never thought about before. Customization is what this is all about.
It seems to me when you're hanging under the hood of a vehicle and you're asking questions and pointing to things, you're probably going to, as you say, you were going to assess the guys as to their knowledge of electrical. That to me is better than go to an advanced class that's really basic, or how you term a class. You can see it firsthand. And would you ever go to Tara and say, hey, look at, we really need to carve a couple of hours out on, ohms, volts, and amps?
Yes, I would. If I felt the technicians needed that, yes, I would.
Okay.
Cool. There's the power for something advanced, and I thought the technicians weren't to that level, I would take Tara to the side and say, hey, you know what? We need to go backwards. We need to start with some of this basic stuff first. And we all know as technicians, Eric and I at least, that you got the basic building blocks and you build up from there. And if you don't have the foundation, you can't go higher. So yeah, and that's part of the assessment process. Every shop, every technician is different, right? So that's part of the beauty of having, a one trainer come in for 3, 4, 5, 6 technicians and figure out where we're going to go, as opposed to a upfront in class. Nothing against like vision and stuff, those classes. Nothing against those, because those are awesome.
Hashtag we want to come back.
Yeah, well, look at
Or Scott shoots at us in the foot on in-person training.
vision and those styles of venues are important. They'll continue, and the power of networking and all that goes on that exemplifies those events. Yet there is that next level, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Mhm.
It's almost like turning grapes into wine. I mean, you're concentrating, you're aging, and again, I think you said the word earlier, Scott, it's intimate, because there's a connectivity there in a small group that makes what you do and what they receive and the value Tara gets for her money off the charts.
You use the word next level. And I kind of disagree with that. And the reason I say that is, if you go to Vision, the majority, not all of them, are higher level, right? They're either mid-range or going higher.
Yeah.
Right. But when I go to a shop, I might be teaching, and I hate to say it this way, I don't mean it to be rude, a lower level class. So let's pretend that Tara just hired a bunch of 20-year-olds that are still going to college, and that's it. As their technicians, they need the basic stuff.
Yeah.
We could have an older guy or girl that needs some basic stuff. So I hate the word level.
My point of next level was not to describe where the training's going. It's the next. It is maybe another level of
a level of training, but not a level of technical expertise. And I'm pretty sure that Tara is ready to say something.
I just think that, it's out of the box, right? So you can call it next level. It's just out of the box thinking of, okay, I can either send my people out or send them behind a computer, or I can have, I could have somebody come here and work with my technicians.
Yeah.
And I think too, for me, I went to school for marketing. I am not a technician. I didn't go to school for that. My husband did. Super cute. Hi. My husband did go to school, but he focuses on the towing company, so he doesn't have the experience anymore. So one of the things that I look at is that if things are running behind, or if the techs are up against something, if I ran a restaurant, I could hop back and help cook the food, right? Like, I can cook food. In my shop, it's very crippling to me because I can't go back and fix the cars. Like Scott and Carolyn talk about making the sausage, right? Like, I don't even, sometimes I understand the concept and I understand vehicles and I serviced advised. But as far as fixing them, I really have to trust the people that I hire, and I do trust those people. I just knew that that if I was going to have a successful team, just like any sports team, yes, we had our service advisor coach and I have my business coach. What was missing to me was like that special teams coach, right? Like, why wouldn't we have somebody that our technicians can look to grow and to develop and to figure out where those growth opportunities are and help them with that?
Guys, what about sharing the love? Tara brings in somebody, it costs X. And instead of doing the daytime, you do a Saturday, and everyone, 3 or 4 shops that she's close with split the cost. Is that again another level or another concept of this?
That was the original setup when we did the prototype in the Phoenix area. We had a training group. We would do the hands-on stuff at Dave's on one day, and then he would host or each one of the member shops would host a 4-hour, 6-hour kind of Saturday presentation style and maybe a little hands-on and go that route to help offset some of the travel expense. It's not too bad in Scott's market because he's fairly close to Tara and he can drive. But like if you're talking about, going from Florida to Phoenix or whatever, that there's an investment there as far as the airfare goes. But kudos to Tara and her group for doing that. That even goes to show that it doesn't have to be MSO outlets that have 6 shops and 100 employees, that even smaller venues can benefit from this, creating this culture. And like Scott had alluded to, and I think Tara did as well, that it's not so much the destination. You know what I mean? We're not, obviously the destination is to get techs trained up and have them all be advanced level techs, but I have never stopped learning in my 35 plus years of being a technician. I get my what handed to me regularly, or my techs do. And it's just, there's always the next thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like there's a template you can put on tech mentoring and go like, oh, we'll be there 3 times a year, and in 2 years, 6 classes, 6 visits, you're done. I think the same way with Bob. We have a dear friend that Scott is very close with, Marty at Motorworks in DeKalb, is a Bill Haas guy, and Marty lives for his once a month or bi-monthly call to Bill on the phone, where they talk and they communicate and stuff like that. And it, like you said, it becomes that a lot of people that I've done training for have become very close personal friends, and it's a growth thing. I think that once the shops, and you would think that this is when I first started this, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. It was a suggestion when we were having dinner in Las Vegas, and Harvey Chan had said, why are you moving to Jackson? Or when you move to Jacksonville, you're going to set up a mobile company there? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, doing mobile in 2 cities would be hard, Eric. You should do like more technician training. And like, it dawned on me that day, like technician mentoring. And it has been a slow. I originally had thought that this is going to be huge. Scott and I had formed together. We were going to have 100 different co-trainers that we can put in California and Florida, and be this ATG of technician mentoring. Yeah. And I can tell you what, by looking at the email on the website, there has not been in 4 or 5 years 25, 26 requests. So kudos to Tara for her being on. That is cutting edge. You know what I mean? Of doing it.
Kudos to Tara also, because I was privy to sit in and eat some pizza during their shop meeting, and they were talking about training online and doing other things. So they're not only having me come out and train, they're doing other training, and kudos to you, Tara. That is awesome. That is completely awesome, because you cannot have one trainer. In your case, myself, you can't have one trainer come in and teach everything. Go one cookie other training and learn it from other people. And that was awesome. I don't know if you noticed it or not. You probably wouldn't, because I sat in the chair and ate a piece of pizza. But no, I greatly appreciated, the fact that you did a shop meeting and you talked about training and gave your employees the option to, do some online stuff. I think it was Garage Gurus, I think, was one of them. But whatever the case,
Tara, why do you think this hasn't taken off like wildfire?
In my opinion, I believe that is because many shop owners are technicians themselves. I think that there's a lot of shop owners out there that were technicians and thought that they could go and make money for themselves. And while maybe running a business is more difficult, they already think that they know. And I think that a lot of the technicians maybe go to the owner and ask them the questions, or the owner is telling them the way that they want it to be from their perspective.
Yeah. So perspective of the technician, Tara, what are they saying to you once there's been a session with Scott, or what do they say about your total commitment to training?
They all value that the team is very open and receptive, and that's really gotten to be the culture that we've built over time together as the organization that's there now. So I don't take credit for any of that. I really try to step back and, well, thank you. I could never be where I am without the team that is, taking care of business day to day, and it really allows me to focus on the business, and I just have to trust that that they're doing the best that they can do. They value Scott. I think they value all their training, and different technicians have different perspectives on it. I'm not going to lie. There's no perfect. I don't have people just waiting for their time to come up to go into the training room and sit and do their training. A car needs this, a car needs that. It's going to be another week or two before they can get caught up on their training. And that's just how life goes. That's just how it is in the shop. But I can tell you too that in between Scott being there, and I'm not going to say that he replaces Identifix, but they have questions and they can call, and usually within an hour, maybe just over, Scott's giving us a call back and guiding them through whatever it is that they might need help on. So that it doesn't just end from his time that he comes and leaves. There's this in-between time as well that we know. It's kind of like a safety zone for us to know that we have that to reach out to.
I love that word, safety zone. Really nice, Scott. Scott, safety zone, Schotten. I like that.
Yeah.
But not next level.
Me, I can't get him to answer the phone ever when I call.
Well,
I see it say Eric on the phone. I'm like, I'll call him back.
Oh my God. Hey, one more time to our great sponsor, Shopware. Okay, you just flipped through a pile of papers to find that invoice while your customer waits impatiently. Talk about a dumb use of your time. You need a digital shop management system that makes you look smart. On the web at getshopware.com. Hey, I kind of love where this has gone. I don't think we changed the world, but I think we opened up some eyes. And let me ask a question about journaling. My good buddy Matt Fonslow believes so much in that. We did
Who's Matt?
We did an episode.
I'm not quite sure I know who Matt is.
He's a friend of Scott Mana's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Scott
Mana
from Chicago.
I think I might have met him once.
Don't you just love the way these guys play grab ass all the time? It's amazing how this stuff works. You drop a name.
Of the episode with Bob Hype, and they did the Scott Mana thing, and they made that a point to do that 6 times, to do it as many times as they could, and name drop that, and you didn't even realize it. 2 years later, I told you, and you're like, what? No one would do that. I'm like, go back and replay the episode. Yeah, all 3 of them are like, our dear friend Scott Mana. Did you say Scott Mana? Yes, I saw Scott Mana the other day. So plug for Scott Mana.
Okay, guess what? You just built another episode with Scott Mana's name. So Scott Mana is going to be mentioned. I don't know. There's probably already
the alliteration of Carrot Topol. We could do that in an episode too.
Okay, cool. So
maybe we just discovered a brand new trend here on the show.
Cult-like following,
Yeah, I know. So where was I 20 minutes ago before you just jumped? Oh,
I don't know. You cut to commercial, so you threw us off track.
No, I came back and I talked about journaling.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Tara, are you encouraging your people to, as they come across these issues or the training that they take away, that they should kind of write this down and be able to reference it back?
We've started with that. I do have a form that they fill out afterwards that tells me how much time they spent, what it was that they trained on, if they thought it was beneficial. Because Scott's right, not just because you're a great technician doesn't necessarily mean that you were meant to train somebody, which is a whole nother need in this industry. That's my soapbox, but we're not going to talk about that right now. And then it also says if they want to bring it up with either me or anybody else within the shop, or if we need to talk about it at a team meeting, like maybe it's something that everybody needs to know right now. And then that gives us that opportunity. So I read the form once they're done and then move on from there. So either we all talk about it, or I just know what they've done and if it was beneficial or not.
Do you encourage them to journal though, when they come across a very difficult issue and they solved it? And they've got this online Google Doc of their very own. They could always go back and type in the vehicle and see if they could pull back. I swear a year ago we had a vehicle like this in here, and
right.
Journaling.
So
Eric and
I have not.
For years.
You've been doing
So
it for years.
I'm sorry, Tara.
That's
Eric
okay.
and
I was
when
just
you're-
going to say
when
I
you're-
learned my
when
one
you're
thing.
DVI, you guys use DVI, correct?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I knew
Well,
that.
through
Just
Shopware.
for
I
the
mean,
audience. Yeah,
yes.
through Shopware. So fine.
it's the fourth
Um,
commercial for Carolyn this episode. I use Shopwares too. Scott, however,
But
does
see,
not.
that's almost a. I mean, not the way that Eric and I record things, but it's pretty darn close. You record, you document, you record, and you document, and
Mhm.
I have to be fair that Eric and I are a little bit different because we're trainers.
I use Shopware
We
as well.
document no, I'm not talking about Shopware.
Did you say
I'm talking about
Shopware?
documenting.
I do use Shopware.
I know you do.
We can
Okay.
use name drop Carolyn.
All
Carolyn
right,
from
let's
Shopware.
cut commercial.
No, I actually started.
I've lost
using-
control of this entire show.
Yeah, Scott and I. When did you think that ever wasn't going to happen? All you throw Fanslow or hype in here, and it's the train's off the tracks. I started doing what DVI on the half shell, I'll call it, before that got popular. I use programs like Evernote. And my technicians will go and scan a car in. They will build it in Evernote. They do most of their notes that they do. They put in a program that they can cut and paste off of, and then we have that to go back, 5-6 years, whatever. Now that we have Shopware, we just cut and paste the notes into Shopware and go from there. But whatever system you use, you have a method of being able to go back and do it. But like Arcade, I am all about the process. I always say Scott's got the pedigree in the Eric and Scott show. He's Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I'm just the guy off the street who started pushing a broom in a shop. But being dyslexic, I don't remember, details of cars yesterday. So if I have them to where I can put something in a search box like, 17 Silverado, and pull up every 17 Silverado we have done in the last 6 years, I can go back and go, oh yeah, that's it. And then if I can open that folder up and look at, this is what it was a P0301 misfire. Here is the scan data report. Here's the testing the technician did. Here are pictures that we've attached of the broken connection that we found, and all just it's just a different way of documenting the repair to the customer. That's on my business owner side, but as a technician side, I can always go back and revisit those notes, which I guess is what you're getting at when you talk about journaling. With Fanslow, I can see him by candlelight writing in a leather-bound folio, like today's thoughts were random thoughts by Matt Fanslow. The shop was kind of a buzz as the wind blew through the cold, crisp Minnesota morning. But I find when you have a way of documenting things and putting back that you can reference, you can go back, and that's something as simple as the way of saving Pico captures that Scott and I both talk about, archiving in a way rather than label it one or something. You build a folder and you put your subsequent tests in it.
I hate to take a turn here, but that's another advantage too. Is especially last time I was there at Taurus. We did Pico stuff because they got the new 40 whatever, they got the new Picoscope kit, and we did some stuff. I'm like, if you got a capture, you don't know what it means, or you don't know how to analyze it, save it. Here's how you save it. Email it to me, tell me what it is, and I'll give you my opinion. I mean, the DVI and the ability to mail email things back and forth is huge.
Game changer.
Huge. So I mean, DVI is forcing people to document stuff and also making shops money. And the email, sending stuff back and forth, the PC issue. I'm trying to think of the right word. Issue.
Pavlovian.
Yeah, right. It's
like if you get a text from somebody, and it's been proven by social scientists, if you get, and you don't have to be a millennial to do this, if your text alert goes off on your phone within 90 seconds, you will at least look at it.
Statistically, yes.
That's the difference between like calling somebody and be like, could I talk to Mr. Johnson? Oh, he's in a meeting right now. I'll put you in his inbox, whatever. You've got the wheels off the car on the brake inspection. You're waiting on the rack for a transmission job. You call back again. The technician's on flat rate. He's waited for a half hour. Come on, like, get the wheels off. I got to go or not. He calls back at 4:00 when you're past the time for parts. You've already put the wheels back on, pulled it out. That is a tremendous waste of time. With DVI, you can go do the inspection, take the pictures, text the work order to the estimate to the customer, and they look at it. They've been in the middle of a business meeting, see to confirm, boom, you're done right there.
Mhm.
And it's not like, oh, I'll call you back when I go to break. Like, how bad are the brakes? You got a picture of it. It's one of those things that you don't have to be a technician to understand that. And we all have to combat that. Unfortunately, our trade has a very black eye when it comes to dishonest professions. I think we're in the top 5. Number 1's politicians, number 2's lawyers, 3's used car salesmen, and I think we rank 4th. And we've kind of done it to ourselves in some way because we, you can't get a doctor in the lower 48 to testify against another doctor in a malpractice case. You got to bring them in from New Zealand, Bora Bora, wherever, because they all circle the wagons. We do that where somebody comes in and go, I was at Jim's down the street and I got this.
You know what? We're completely the opposite. We are completely the opposite because, I can call you, Tara. Okay, let's give an example this way. If one of Tara's technicians needed a known good cam crank capture, they could email me or call me, right? And I would go, all right, well, you know what? I don't have one, but I know people that I can call. And I'll probably text you, Eric, and go, hey, you got a known good cam crank for this, 2012 Nissan, whatever it is. And if you have one, you might send me one back, go, hey, here's a 2011 with the same engine. I don't have a 2012, but I got a 2011. Okay, that's something at least.
That's the electrical component of it, being the electronic component, being able to switch it. But I think from a consumer perspective, you could be, a guy who's a cook or a girl who is a plumber or what have you, but not an automotive technician.
Right.
And, you brought your car in for an oil change and say, hey, check the brakes. And you went in for, an oil change costing X, and now we've got a 4-wheel brake job with calipers and rotors and drums and wheel cylinders, and it is now XXX, and somebody says, wow, you just went in for an oil change and now it's this. Man, somebody's really taking advantage of you. And that's that is the perspective that happens. But when you document that process and you go, here's the picture of the rotor, here's the picture of the wore out pads, you can see the rivets here, that they could show it to Betty in accounting who knows nothing about cars. And she goes, that doesn't look good to me. You know what I mean? Which is better than somebody being on the phone going, yes, you need this. It's a drastic upsell.
Right. It definitely builds transparency. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem at all. I worked at Midas years ago, and they had a process in the sales process called Meet, Introduce, Direct, Advise, and Sell. And they took every customer out onto the shop floor, and the technician sold the work, not the service manager. And they said, here's your brakes. Here, this is bad here. See where this line is in the rotor? That is caused by this. And I learned that in 1980 something, and it was tremendously successful because people, looked at technicians and said, well, hey, he's the tech. The other person's just trying to sell me a bill of goods. But being able to have that ability to not only send waveforms back and forth or send a picture, like say you've got a relative compression waveform, which is a test that Scott and I, try to teach technicians, you could annotate that, right on screen, and you could say all these things should look like the others, and they do not. One of them does not. It's the Sesame Street, as I call it, and it becomes glaringly obvious. And as Tara said, there's a degree now you have transparency. There's the veil has been lifted, and you're actually able to see what's going on with your car.
Well, Tara, it's amazing where this episode went with kind of you at the lead here as far as technician mentoring goes. But you know what? With Scott and Eric in here, I'm not surprised that we kind of went in that direction. So thank you for leading this for us, Tara, and the things that you're doing to, in your commitment to training for your people. And the reason that I wanted to do this is I wanted to encourage more of it. I think this is a tremendously great way to again, think about the knowledge base that your people are going to have. Think about the level of customer experience you're going to give, because you can get the job done, under promise, or over deliver. And I just think it's something we all should look at a little deeper. So Eric, Scott, Tara, thank you all so much for being here. We may have to come back and do a part 2. I wouldn't mind having a technician on and getting that technician's perspective from having a technician mentoring episode, or and even if it's I can pick up the phone and call Scott anytime. That's another really great way of networking amongst technicians, and it's going on all over the place, but it should go on between that tight group that's being created with this. So Tara Topol Service Center, Lake Mills, Wisconsin, winner of the 2021 Female Shop Owner of the Year from Women in Auto Care. Eric Ziegler, Easy Diagnostics, Easy Tech Mentoring. Scott Schotten, the Drivability Guys. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate the opportunity as always.
Happy birthday, Carm.
Happy birthday, Carm.
Happy birthday.